Your weather guy back with another update. So a few things that we got to talk about. We have a pretty big severe weather threat today in the central part of the United States, and a snowstorm for tomorrow, parts of the upper Midwest around the Great Lakes. And another storm coming down the pike could be another severe weather outbreak early next week. First, if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. Appreciate everyone who does that. Thank you so much. But we'll get right into it. So 12 days ago, I put a video out there that talked about a potential tropical threat during election week. And that threat still has legs at this point. So this is the Canadian. We'll get right into the models here. This is the Canadian, and this is actually the end of next week. So this is Saturday morning, the 9th here. And so the Canadian has a pretty significant hurricane entering into the Gulf of Mexico. Not sure where it goes from at this point. This is actually the end of its run. Let's pop over to the GFS ensembles. We get a better idea of the possible scenarios here. So GFS ensemble. So against the GFS, it's the American operational model. It's running at a lower resolution, about 31 times. So all of these red numbers. So it's not like we're looking at 30 different storms here. These are just different placements of the storm from each of those model runs. So this is now next weekend, starts to develop a tropical wave, a tropical system here in the central Caribbean. And then if we put this forward into early part of next week, we see that move northwest. And as we go into, this is now late Tuesday, early Wednesday. So some of them are a little bit further north and actually sling into Florida. This would be like late Tuesday, early Wednesday, but the bulk of them remain over the Caribbean and moves it further northwest. So now if we put this forward into now middle part of next week, Wednesday, Thursday, so the bulk of these ensemble runs bring it into the Gulf of Mexico, so sometime middle part of next week. And then from there, that's kind of the big question mark, is a lot of them will swing them into southwestern Florida. Some of them bring it further north into the northern Gulf Coast, so really anywhere from New Orleans down to the Florida Keys, the GFS ensembles are signaling that is the potential trouble spot. So again, this storm has not formed yet. It is a threat that we've been tracking for a while. So that says a lot that this threat is still on the table. And a lot of the ensemble members are showing it as a pretty credible threat at this point. All the information we really have at this point, some of the ensemble members bringing it quite a bit earlier, like early next week. But most of them, it's later next week, so we should still have a good amount of time to watch this thing if it even develops at this point. But at this point, just keep paying attention to it. We are not out of hurricane season yet, and we might have one more threat coming down the pike. All right, switching gears a little bit. Pretty big, severe weather event taking place right now. So this is a tornado watch that goes through tonight for parts of Oklahoma and Kansas. And then we have a severe thunderstorm watch. There might be more watches, probably going to be some more watches issued before the end of the day. But there could be some pretty strong tornadoes. So we're talking about EF2 plus in parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. And there's been some severe weather reports already, some strong winds, well over 70 miles per hour already reported. So going to be pretty eventful evening there. And then let's pop over to the GFS. I want to show you. So as that system, so the same system today, we'll back it up a little bit today. So this is the GFS for this afternoon. You can see the low pressure right there over Kansas. Now, as that moves, put this into motion, further northeast, you can see, look at those blues. So that is snow, and heavy snow potentially for Minnesota and parts of northern Wisconsin. So this is now tomorrow. So this is Halloween. So if this doesn't move out of there in time, it could definitely affect some trick-or-treating in parts of the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. Hopefully it gets out of there in time, but either way, you probably need those snow boots as you go walking door to door getting that candy. As far as how much snowfall, we'll zoom in here. So this is the dark blue, that's your 3-inch line. So we're looking at possibly 3 to 6 inches, locally higher amounts. So the models are actually, some of the models are predicting some higher amounts. I'm just a little bit skeptical of that. Just being, this time of year, it's going to be afternoon, so I don't think we're going to see our classic 10-to-1 ratios. But I would say 3 to 6 in the bullseye, and there could be some isolated higher amounts. Maybe, wouldn't be surprised to see some 7, 8-inch amounts coming out of, maybe the Duluth area, talking away from the lake, where you have a little bit of that influence from the warmer lake waters, and then maybe in the northern Wisconsin there. So there'll be some interesting scenes coming out from from Halloween, with snow and the Halloween decorations. So it should be pretty cool. And then looking further down the line, so that system moves out, and then as we look at the northwest, we see another trough is going to be digging in. So we're looking at some unsettled weather in the Pacific Northwest late this week and into the weekend, and some snow for the higher elevations there in the mountains. That moves further east, and that same trough that moves into the upper, or I should say the northwestern part of the United States, is going to move into the central part of the United States. We're going to see another storm system similar to what we're seeing today, and you can see that on the GFS here. This is now Monday into Tuesday. We could have another severe weather threat. So pretty active weather pattern here, especially if you're in the central part of the United States. Have a way to get those warnings tonight, or just this afternoon to this evening. Real deal. There definitely some pretty sizable tornadoes there. Talking about EF2 plus, so nothing to mess around with. And then we'll monitor that tropical threat. So please hit that subscribe button. We're going to have more videos as that tropical threat continues to evolve. Feels like we've been tracking it for forever, but starting to get to that time where the models are really starting to pick up on it now. That's it for today. We'll see you next time.